just jump right into things. Today, we're doing a complete explainer on the biological research behind fasting. We're going to dive deep into the data to see exactly what kind of miraculous things happen inside your body when you simply stop eating for a specific window of time. We'll be breaking down the science step by step so we can really understand how our bodies transform. Think about this for a second. What if your midday fatigue and that stubborn belly fat aren't actually signs of aging, but a biological clock that's just stuck? You know the drill. You get a full 8 hours of sleep, you eat a perfectly normal dinner, and yet you wake up tired and just cannot seem to shake that belly fat. It's so easy to think your metabolism is permanently broken or that this is just an inevitable part of getting older. But the science tells a completely different story. Your body is absolutely not broken. It's just highly likely that it's trapped in the wrong energy mode. Section 1. Trapped in storage mode. To understand how to fix this, we first need to diagnose the hidden biological problem that keeps your body from burning fat. Meet your unseen hurdle, insulin. Think of insulin as a warehouse manager. Whenever you eat, this manager's job is to take the energy floating around in your bloodstream and pack it safely away into storage. And here's the kicker. While this manager is on duty, the warehouse doors are locked tight. Literally, nothing comes out. Now, insulin itself isn't the bad guy here. The real problem is that for most of us, this warehouse manager never actually gets to go home. Thanks to modern eating habits, breakfast at 7, a quick snack at 10, lunch at noon, an afternoon coffee with a sweet treat, dinner at 7, and then maybe a little dessert, our insulin levels stay elevated almost all day long. The doors to your fat stores just stay permanently locked. And for millions of adults out there, especially if you're in your 40s or 50s, decades of this constant eating habit have kept those insulin levels perpetually high. Over time, your body literally forgets how to flip the switch from storing energy to burning it. Researchers actually call this a loss of metabolic flexibility. Because the biological doors to your stored energy are padlocked shut, you start experiencing all those tangible, incredibly frustrating physical symptoms. You know exactly the feelings I'm talking about. The constant hunger, intense sweet cravings, those sudden afternoon energy crashes where you can barely keep your eyes open, and of course, that stubborn belly fat. Your body is desperately demanding a quick fix of glucose, simply because it cannot access its own fat reserves. Which brings us to Section 2, the hour-by-hour transformation. The crucial question here is, how do we actually unlock those doors? Let's track the timeline to see what happens inside when digestion finally stops. This timeline maps out a seriously powerful night shift repair process. Okay, so at 2 to 3 hours after your last meal, you're still in peak delivery mode. Insulin is high, and your liver is working hard storing excess glucose as glycogen. But let's skip ahead to this 7 to 12 hour mark. This is the magic window where the warehouse doors slowly start to creak open. Insulin finally drops, and an enzyme called hormone-sensitive lipase activates. Your body starts physically breaking down stored fat into fatty acids to use for fuel, a process known as lipolysis. And if you make it to the 12 to 14-hour mark, your body shifts into a state of really deep cellular cleanout. During this window, your liver is actively turning those fatty acids into ketones. When we compare our two main fuel sources, glucose gives you rapid spikes followed by heavy, exhausting crashes. Ketones, on the other hand, are like premium, high-octane fuel. Unlike standard fat, ketones can easily cross the blood-brain barrier. So instead of that classic energy roller coaster, your brain gets a miraculously smooth, steady wave of power. And then we reach this absolutely incredible biological state called autophagy. The word literally translates to self-eating, which I know sounds a bit terrifying, but it's actually fantastic. Think of autophagy as an elite nighttime cleaning crew that only comes into the building after all the workers, meaning the food and the insulin, have gone home. When insulin stays low, a cellular pathway called mTOR quiets down. This signals your body to stop growing and start repairing. It sweeps up damaged proteins, old worn-out mitochondria, and inflammatory debris, and brilliantly recycles them into useful raw materials. Now, I hear this all the time. People worry that fasting is going to destroy their hard-earned muscle or just leave them feeling totally exhausted. But it's actually the exact opposite. Fasting triggers a massive hormonal supercharge. From an evolutionary standpoint, it makes zero sense for the human body to destroy its precious muscle just because breakfast is a few hours late. Instead, when insulin drops, growth hormone aggressively spikes to protect your muscle tissue and mobilize fat. At the exact same time, noradrenaline rises, which gives a huge boost to your focus, alertness, and reaction speed. Biologically speaking, your body is sharpening itself. Section 3. upgrading brain and gut. Let's look at how this metabolic switch brilliantly transforms not just our waistlines, but our mental clarity and digestive health. What happens inside your head during this process is just fascinating. You'd probably expect to feel easily distracted when you haven't eaten, right? But a lot of people actually experience a very sudden, calm mental clarity. This is largely thanks to BDNF, or brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It basically acts like brain fertilizer. Fasting significantly increases BDNF, which actively enhances your memory, your learning capacity, and neuroplasticity. Your brain responds to the temporary, healthy stress of fasting by making you sharper and much more attentive. Meanwhile, there is a totally hidden repair process happening down in your gut, which we often call our second brain. Look, if you're constantly eating, your gut literally never gets a break. That leads directly to bloating and that sluggish, heavy feeling. But when you fast, an extraordinary mechanism called the migrating motor complex activates. This is a rhythmic sweeping motion that physically cleans out leftover debris and bacteria in your small intestine. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. This self-cleaning cycle only happens when your stomach is completely empty. Even a tiny little snack shuts the whole operation down. So how do you actually know if this internal shift is happening? Well, you can look for tangible physical signs. You might wake up with a noticeably flatter stomach because that gut cleaning cycle finally got to finish its job. You'll likely notice a clear, totally fog-free head. You might even notice a slightly sweet or kind of metallic smell on your breath. That's literally the ketones leaving your body. And maybe the most surprising thing of all, your hunger isn't this desperate, panic-inducing feeling anymore. It just becomes calm and quiet.
Moving on to Section 4, Myths of Aging and Breakfast. We need to pivot slightly and bust two massive societal myths that actively stop people from trying this lifestyle.
We have all had this phrase drilled into our heads since childhood. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. We grew up fully believing that skipping breakfast would somehow permanently damage our metabolism. But what you might not realize is that this famous phrase was largely driven by 20th century food industry incentives. We're talking specifically about cereal marketing and aggressive advertising campaigns designed to get people eating the absolute second they woke up.
So what does our biology actually say about this? Well, research shows that insulin sensitivity follows a natural circadian rhythm. Forcing a meal into your system first thing in the morning when you aren't actually physically hungry, that simply spikes your insulin and instantly slams the door shut on all those deep fat burning and cellular repair modes we just talked about. Delaying that first meal actually improves overall insulin sensitivity for a ton of adults.
And that brings us to the second major myth. People in their 50s and beyond frequently assume that their afternoon fatigue, brain fog, and weight gain are just inevitable signs of aging. But the truth is, your symptoms aren't just aging. They're the direct result of lost metabolic flexibility. Now, yes, it's true that insulin sensitivity does decrease slightly as we age naturally, but the severity of these symptoms is heavily driven by decades of constant, around-the-clock eating. You haven't just aged, you've lost your metabolic flexibility. And the absolute best news? You can get it back.
Which leads us to Section 5, the 3-step reset. Let's look at exactly how you can safely, practically, and effectively reclaim that flexibility.
We're breaking this down into 3 incredibly logical core principles. Step 1, condense the window. This just means eating all your meals within an 8-hour time frame. Step 2, optimize the window. Fasting alone isn't going to fix everything if you just break it with junk food. You absolutely must prioritize protein to give your body the raw materials it needs to maintain that muscle we talked about. And step 3, supplement with light exercise. Just a simple 20-minute walk before your first meal significantly improves how your muscles absorb glucose. So, why is the magic number for condensing your window exactly 16 hours? Say, eating between noon and 8 p.m. Well, giving your body a full 16 hours of fasting overnight and through the morning provides the precise biological amount of time needed for your insulin to drop entirely, for glycogen to deplete, and for those deep, restorative cellular repair systems like autophagy to fully activate. Now, I know skipping morning food probably sounds pretty daunting at first, but trust me, your body adapts incredibly quickly. Your hunger hormone, ghrelin, is strictly tied to your habits. If you usually eat a bagel at 8 a.m., well, ghrelin spikes at 8 a.m. to get you ready. But within just a few days to a couple of weeks on a new schedule, that ghrelin pattern dramatically changes. Those morning hunger pangs just fade away. You'll quickly find that food no longer controls your emotional state or dictates your entire daily schedule. Your body already possesses the most highly sophisticated internal systems for fat burning, mental clarity, and cellular repair. They haven't disappeared. They've just been suppressed by a constant environment of eating. So ask yourself this. What if the most powerful thing you could possibly give your body isn't more food, a trendy new supplement, or another cup of coffee, but simply time? Thanks for joining me for this explainer on the biological science of fasting, and I'll catch you on the next one.